Hello there. I'm Father John Geaney of the Paulist Fathers, and you're watching Psalm Sense. The other day, I was speaking with my niece, and she told me that she is going to buy an artificial tree this year. And when I asked her why, she said it was because the cost of trees has just gone out of sight. And I figured, well, that's really no good way to be dealing with Christmas. But if she buys this tree, which is artificial, it will be there for a long time, and she won't have to renew what she paid for that tree year after year after year. I told her at the same time about my dad and how he dealt with the rising costs of trees. He, when he was alive, would go to the place where trees were sold in our little village in Maplewood, Massachusetts, and he would buy a tree, usually a pretty beat up one, and then ask the person who was dealing with the trees whether or not he could go around and pick up some branches in the man's lot. Well, of course, there were tons of branches around. Daddy would take those branches home with him and take out his lovely machine that would drill holes, his drill, and then he would fix up the tree so that it looked like a perfectly wonderful tree when he got finished. And of course, it had only cost him $10. Now, admittedly, that's a few years ago, but I think that maybe the process might still work. Anyway, what we are involved in at this time is Christmas time. And I think we oftentimes, as Catholics, for example, forget that as we begin the liturgy on Christmas Eve, we do indeed quote the Psalms. Now you might say, what does that have to do with Christianity? It has everything to do with Christianity. And you will be remembering that Jesus, of course, was Jewish. And of course, he prayed the Jewish prayers, which are Psalms. So I was struck by the fact that it is so much a part of Christmas that the Psalms are spoken at that time. And the Psalms come from Psalm 2. And there is only a small phrase that we are going to reflect upon. And that small phrase is, "The Lord said to me, 'You are my son. It is I who have begotten you this day.'" Oftentimes we forget how much of Christmas is all about Jesus. We spend a great deal of time on Santa Claus. We spend a great deal of time on creating wonderful scenes along highways that reflect the Christmas spirit. But we don't really think about the fact that what we celebrate at Christmas is the life and the beginning of that life of Jesus Christ. I remember one time asking my mom about what they did in Ireland on Christmas Day. And she said, "John, we didn't do anything. We remembered that Jesus was born that day. And then the next day, we had the day for opening gifts and traveling around and looking for what was happening." That custom still exists in Ireland, although slowly it's being pushed aside by the tradition that we have here in the United States of celebrating that wonderful day with gifts to each other. Now, nothing wrong with any of that. That's all very helpful to people and good for all of us to be thinking of other people on this particular day. But it is still important for us to recognize that on Christmas and with the Psalms, we are introduced to the birth of Jesus, which is really the key to all we do at Christmas time. For Psalm Sense, I'm Father John Geaney. My time is up. I thank you for yours and wish you a very Merry Christmas.